Welcome to another segment of LeaderLINK, linking members with mentors to learn, achieve, and succeed. I'm Hunter Sparrow and I have the pleasure of serving as your Northwest Region Vice President this year. I'm excited to announce today we have our very own Executive Vice President and National Western Region Vice President, Samara Wijesekera, joining us to discuss all things Western Region and her life as a state and national officer. Before we start diving deep in that topic, Samara, please tell us a little about yourself and why you joined FBLA and why you decided to become a state and national officer.
Yeah, of course. Hi everyone, and Hunter, thank you so much for having me today. It's such an honor. A little bit about myself. Again, my name is Samara, and I'm a senior at Holy Names Academy. I currently serve as Hunter said, I'm the Executive Vice President for Washington and the National Western Region Vice President. I joined FBLA in my freshman year. I saw the FBLA website because I was looking for business opportunities and just stumbled across FBLA. And I was really interested in FBLA's goals and the programs that they had to develop business skills within members. So I reached out to our state director and asked how I could get involved in this organization. So it was COVID that year, so I couldn't go to school and have a chapter. So I joined the Washington FBLA virtual chapter. And then after that, I started a chapter in my sophomore year, ran for state office in sophomore year too, and then got really involved with FBLA within my junior year. And I realized kind of how FBLA has been such a big part of my life. And that's why I wanted to run for national so that I could give back to the organization that has made me who I am today.
Yeah, it's really cool to see how you have kind of created like this character arc in FBA that's really unique of how you kind of like started like very independent and joined virtual chapter and then you kind of moved all the way up to being a national officer. Like that's really cool. So on the topic of national office, what are you most excited for this year as National West Region VP?
I am really excited to work with my council this year to implement a lot of engaging and interactive programs with the Western region, both through social media and resources and engagement with membership. First of all, we're going to bring back the Pen Pals program and Passion Project from last year because those projects were really successful and we got a lot of engagement and a lot of members really enjoyed those, is what we've heard. We are also planning to implement a kind of member moments program on our Western Region FBLA Instagram, where we just highlight members every week or every month, just like with their FBLA accomplishments. We're also going to have a Western Region Slack channel for all the Western Region, either chapter or state officers on Slack, just to increase communication and have an open platform where we can share any updates. We're also going to have some more resources on the Western Region Instagram. We're planning to implement like a link tree or some document with a condensed resources list. So it's just more accessible to all Western Region members.
Right, perfect. We love that. And if any, just for you guys' context for people watching this interview, you guys, if you want to get connected with the National West Region Council or Samara Wijesekera, you can follow them at WRFBLA. I believe that's the handle for it on Instagram. And that is a good way to connect with the council members. And it's a good way to connect with Samara as well on anything Western Region related. So, Samara, what is your advice for someone interested in running for either state office for Washington or national office?
Yeah, so one thing I recommend is to definitely get started early and get started earlier than you think you do. For state office, my first year, I got started on my campaign in February, which was only a month before the deadline. So I did get everything done, but it was really stressful. So I definitely recommend starting at least like 2 or 3 months before the deadlines because you don't only have to fill out the application questions, but there's also preparing for your interview. And if you are running for an elected position, which the majority of the positions are, you need to prepare your campaign booth. And there's a lot of work that goes into preparing, whether it's like a trifle poster, giveaway materials, or everything that goes into that. It's a really fun process, but you don't want stress to be taking away anything from that.
Yeah, absolutely. And just for also for viewers watching this, if you guys are interested in becoming a national officer in Washington, the way you get started on that is you have to win the election as executive vice president to be able to run for a national officer position already. So is it correct that you started your own chapter and how can other students do that in FBLA at their school?
Yeah, so actually, I did start my own chapter. As I said earlier, I started it in my sophomore year of high school. So, how I started at is what I first did is registered on the National FBLA website It's a simple inquiry just to say, hey, I'm a student. This is like the state and school I'm from. I might be interested in starting an FBLA chapter. I don't really remember if nationals reached out to me, but then I reached out to our state director, who at the time was someone else, but our state director right now is Angela Stone. And I reached out to them and asked, hey, like I'm interested in starting a chapter. How could I go about doing this? And then it kind of just went on from there. They were really helpful and helped me a lot with just getting the chapter started and registered in the national database. So if any of you are interested in starting a chapter, whether it's in Washington or the Western region, I'd recommend first filling out the form on nationals and then reaching out to your state director.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's really cool how you started your own chapter and you kind of took initiative in your school Holy Names Academy and then started like really bringing FBLA to that community. Like it's definitely really cool to see somebody like you who's like moved on and like achieved so much just from and you started your own chapter. Like I think that's really, really cool and really inspiring for people watching this interview. So, moving on to our next question, what is your biggest tip you can give to competitors competing at state and national level? Like we know you've had a lot of success, especially this year in electronic career portfolio. So, what are your tips for competing?
Yeah, so one of the biggest tips I have is to just practice more, study more than you think you need to. Because honestly, when you practice and study the most you can, you're going to feel the most prepared and you're just going to feel more comfortable when it's on event day or test day. The second tip I have is to have a good start to your day. So eat a good, healthy breakfast, get good sleep the night before, and you really want to feel at ease before you walk into your testing or presenting room. And the third tip I have is to have a good introduction with the judges. Obviously, this only applies if you're doing a presentation or a role play event, but greet the judges, have a smile on your face, shoulders back, present yourself really well because although it's not going to affect your score, you want that judge to have a positive impression on you because it really sets up your performance for a positive experience for them.
Absolutely. And then, just out of my curiosity, we know that you've had also some success at like objective testing events. Do you have any tips on like those events at all, like competing in business law or events that are via computer?
Yeah, so one of my biggest tips for that, aside from doing practice tests, is to do Quizlets. There are tons of Quizlets online for almost all of the objective tests. And I was just using, I think I used over like 5 different Quizlets just on repeat. And that helped me to get a wide variety of the terms and questions that were being used in the test because they're all created by different people. And I think that's what really helped me to do well on those tests. So I just recommend, like, obviously, if you your own Quizlets, that's amazing to just keep on reading and studying those, but also use other people's ones because it's good to get others' input and others' advice.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think another good resource for you Washington members to use is our Ultimate Competitive Events Guide. It actually has all of the Quizlets actually pasted in there as a direct link. So if you need access to any Quizlets or study resources, you can always go to that competitive events 101 guide and it's going to be all there for you. So moving on to our next question, Samara, do you have any DI tips for chapters and states in not only in Washington, but also in the Western region and how they can implement DEI into their chapter at home?
Of course. So one of the biggest tips I have is to promote scholarship opportunities. There's a lot of scholarships on the Washington FBLA and the National FBLA website that a lot of members aren't aware about. So I recommend promoting those scholarships within your chapter and encouraging members in your chapter to apply because they're an amazing way to attend FBLA conferences and participate in different FBLA programs. And even we have scholarships that aren't related to FBLA. Like I know we have a scholarship that's meant for college too.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's really important to recognize those scholarships and to push them out to the members because they definitely help with like conference costs. And also the ones for college also help a lot with scholarships to get into college and get into the schools that you want. So for our last question, just for fun, what is your favorite food or snack?
Yeah, okay, I'll answer both. So my favorite food is definitely sushi. I love sushi. And me and my family have like our favorite sushi restaurant. That's kind of been our family restaurant just when I've grown up in Seattle. So yeah, it's definitely my favorite food. And I think my favorite snack is either graham crackers because I love graham crackers, or animal crackers. Just both are my favorites. And also mushrooms because mushrooms are like so good. But yeah.
I can get behind the graham crackers, but the mushrooms,
They're so good. Okay, have you had pizza with mushrooms and pineapples? It's literally so good. It's like, oh my gosh.
Well, there you go. LeaderLink viewers, if you ever see Samara, get her a pizza with mushroom and pineapple on it. That's
Yeah.
interesting. I feel like that's a good thing for people to know about you.
If
All
you
right.
see me at NLC in like the pizza line, you know what I'm about to get.
Absolutely. So thank you so much, Samara, for joining me for this interview. Washington, we can't wait to see you next time on LeaderLink. Make sure to follow at WAFBL on Instagram to stay connected on all of our segments. Thanks for watching.